Getting a few tattoos is one thing, but these NBA players took it to a completely different level and don't even look like the same person anymore. Despite later being known for his crazy antics and style, Rodman's draft in the second round in 1986 went as standard as they come. He was picked by the infamous Detroit Bad Boy Pistons, and by the looks of it, looked to be just like any other draftee. This remained true for some years as Rodman developed his game. Rodman looked back at these days as the happiest he had ever been, so much so that he felt his overjoyed state took away from his focus in basketball. Finally, after a talk with Isaiah Thomas one day, Rodman decided to take basketball seriously. As it was, Rodman had averaged just south of 10 rebounds and 10 points a game, numbers he was content with for some time. Breaking out during the 1990 and 91 seasons, Rodman's rebounds went from 13 per game to a ridiculous 19 per game in 1991. His early success had given him 2 championships with the Pistons, before he was off to play with the San Antonio Spurs in 1993. Thus marked a low for Rodman, not necessarily statistically, but his personal life was in ruins. By this time, a painful divorce with his first wife, Annie Bakes, had caused him to go off the edge. In 1993, he was found by police passing out in his truck with a loaded gun in his lap. Something had changed in Rodman from that point forward. Afterwards, Rodman's look changed drastically. He had gone from a reluctant bad boy Piston who cared all too much about what people thought of him to ironically the league's baddest player of them all. He began dyeing his hair different colors, getting piercings on his nose, and started to sport tattoos all over his body. A pretty wild change when considering the look of NBA players during that time. Even the most disturbed NBA players had at least appeared stable on the outside. Rodman's trademark looks began to be a spectacle for fans by the time he had joined up with Jordan on the Bulls in 1995. One day when he was driving in Chicago, Rodman heard on the radio that there had been gridlock traffic. The guy says, "There's gonna be a delay at Route 94 in Arden because there's a billboard of Dennis Rodman right on the exit and people are stopping and taking pictures of it." I'm listening to the radio and I'm saying, "What?" I drive down there and there's a traffic jam and people outside their cars on the freeway taking pictures of my face with green hair. I didn't even know the sign existed. I passed by it every day. Before I came to Chicago, there was a billboard of Michael and Scotty. And when I got there, it was Michael, Scotty, and Dennis. Then a few months later, it just became me. So for that 1 year, maybe 6 months, I was bigger than Jordan. Chris the Birdman Andersen hasn't had the fantasy NBA career most believed players tend to have, struggling to even get his foot in the league early on, and later dealing with a 2-year substance abuse ban during the middle of his career. Much of Andersen's transformation occurred not only physically, but emotionally. Dropping out of college in 1999, Andersen went to play overseas in China before spending some time in the NBA D-League. His performance eventually earned him a contract with the Denver Nuggets in 2001, becoming the first D-League player to be called up by an NBA team. Playing much of his career in Denver, Andersen's appearance began to shift as the years went on. Starting out in the 2003-2004 season, Andersen's famous tattoos became more common, as by this point his right arm designs began to be colored in. After being banned during the 2004-2005 season, Andersen returned to the Hornets 2 years later in 2007. By now, his hair had grown longer than we've seen in the past, and he was beginning to be covered in tattoos from his chest to both arms. His famous mohawk came a season later in 2008 when he signed back with the Nuggets, also with some extra tattoos to come with it. 2010 brought his famous inner bicep wing tattoos, which officially had given him the moniker of the Birdman. By 2011, the final form of the Birdman most of us know him to be was born. By now, there seemed to be not space for tattoos. Everything from his neck to his hands had been completely done. Andersen talked about getting his first tattoo saying,
"The first one was a Chinese ganja. It was right when I got back from China. You know, me and my mother went and got our tattoos, our first tattoos together. And after that, it just never stopped. I just kept going back."
Moving to Memphis, Tennessee with the company of his older brother Paul, who was 21 at the time, Marc, who had been 16, shared many of his brother's same aspirations. For starters, Marc Gasol wanted to be a professional basketball player. However, he lacked the athleticism. Granted, with a height of 6'10", even at 350 pounds, Marc was highly sought after. Often eating at his favorite McDonald's nearby his high school, Marc realized not too long after playing basketball that if he wanted to compete in the big leagues, he'd have to shed some weight. First trying a vegan diet, then a pescatarian, Marc eventually landed on a paleo diet that would cut out bread. After graduating high school, Marc decided to return to his home country of Spain to play professional ball there. While he had certainly shed a few pounds, he was still a far cry away from reaching an ideal weight. By 2007, Marc had dropped a whopping 95 pounds. He was selected by the Lakers as their second-round 48th pick with a listed weight of just 255 pounds. He was ironically quickly dealt off in a package deal for his brother that essentially made them swap teams, placing Paul in LA, while Marc remained in his American hometown of Memphis with the Grizzlies. Coming into the NBA as a rookie, Marc led a remarkably consistent NBA career, aside from a typical weak final season before retiring. Marc talked about the journey on losing weight, saying, "There's no secret to it. I had the worst habits that you could imagine: pizza, burgers, even a little bit of sweets. A lot of people have those habits. It's just a matter of going after it and sticking to it. I think at the end of the day, it's sticking to it. And obviously there's going to be easier days than others. There's days when you're like, the hell with it. After a while, you see the results, and then you get motivated at points, like I want to do it a little bit more." Not even Giannis's most hardcore fans would blame you if you said you had no clue who he was when he was drafted into the NBA in 2013. Aside from being picked 15th in the first round, Giannis looked to be about half his current weight and led a fairly unremarkable rookie season. His 6'11" lanky frame weighed in at just 190 pounds on draft day, which likely played a large role in his inability to be as dominant a presence in the paint as he once was in Greece. Realizing he needed to adapt to an ever-evolving NBA league that prefaces a concentration on athleticism, Giannis took to his trainers to begin taking on some weight. The process was gradual, and such was his improvement. However, by the 2016-17 season, or his fourth in the league, he had become a completely unrecognizable player. Not only was he performing at all-star levels, he had additionally gained a whopping 51 pounds on top of his original 190-pound rookie frame. Now weighing in at 241 pounds, Giannis was no longer a pushover in the paint, averaging 23 points a game, 9 rebounds a game, along with 6 assists, and was named the league's most improved player in 2017. And rightfully so. Giannis had come from a foreign basketball league with some potential as a possible role player for the Bucks, and suddenly had completely transformed every aspect of his game. Much of the credit can be attributed to his never quit mentality, which he has maintained his whole life. In an NBA interview, Giannis talked about his mentality when it comes to improving, saying, "It's very important for me to never stop improving, even in the off-season. When I'm not on the court playing, I'm in the gym training and building strength. There is no time off. Eating well and exercising right is very important to me. In terms of his workout strategy, it rivals that of a bodybuilder. Giannis hits the gym for all days of the week but one. During those days, he's devoting a minimum of 2 split hours a day on either improving his upper body or lower body. It clearly comes with some advantages. His larger frame has awarded him the luxury of plowing through defenses in the paint like paper. Even more impressive is how his points are won. Shooting just 12.5% beyond the arc, Giannis has led the NBA in paint scoring for 2 years straight. His most recent average in paint points occurred just this season when he was scoring 17 points a game in the paint alone. Also coming into the league in the 2013 draft, Steven Adams came in the league as the Thunder's 12th pick just before Giannis. As a 20-year-old baby-faced giant, Adams performed pretty poorly his rookie season. Even working with limited minutes, Adams was only averaging 3 points a game. Much of his game suffered for many of the same reasons Giannis's game did. They were both big men lacking size and strength to make a big impact in either paint defense or offense. Adams arrived at the same conclusion as Giannis and began prefacing his overall fitness. However, Adams took a more unconventional approach to working out. While Adams certainly had a trainer alongside him to help reach his fitness goals, he additionally exploited the knowledge of science. Adams became an outspoken supporter of saunas and their impact on not only his stress levels post-workout, but its apparent ability to boost testosterone. This, coupled with his intense leg workout routine, is what helped him put on some extra pounds. During his transformation, Adams began growing his hair and beard out, which with his extra muscle had given him the nickname of Aquaman. Whether it was his beard or muscle mass that improved his game remains uncertain, but what's clear is that during his 5th season in the league, Adams began seeing the results. Averaging 14 points a game along with 9 rebounds a game, Adams had finally become the powerhouse he aimed to be. On top of being a dominant big man, Adam spoke about working on the forgotten art of low post defense, which is used on his opponents for easy buckets. One of the reasons I found a little bit of success down low is no one plays low post defense anymore. It's so much easier in the post. It's so tough to score against Marcin Gortat, Nene Hilario, the older guys. They played it so many times over and over again. They have their own little tricks, they know the balance, they know what to force you to. Back in the day, you take one dribble, I couldn't even back down point guard Derek Fisher. You know, it was just that old school like, boom, you ain't moving type of thing. If you've enjoyed this video, then we're sure you'll enjoy the next one. Click on right now and enjoy.